So now it's pretty confirmed that the 2024 Copa America is coming to the United States, something that I told you very early on here. I have a lot of acquaintances in South America on the business side who have been telling me we've been selling this competition for several months. Just hasn't been reported. Well, now it's going on. There was an article by Felipe Cardenas in The Athletic. Felipe's great, and talking about this situation with Copa America coming to the U.S. and how it opens the door possibly for South America to get the World Cup bid in 2030, which will be announced in next year. And they are focusing on that. 2030 would be the 100-year anniversary of the first World Cup in South America, so it would be very special. It's going to be a bid with Argentina, Uruguay, right next to each other, and then also Chile and Paraguay. And this is kind of the direction we're heading now, right? We had Qatar, which was a consolidated World Cup. 2026, USA, Mexico, Canada. 2030 is going to be a multinational bid. You have the one from South America. You have an Iberian bid, Spain and Portugal, and I think Ukraine. And then you have this Mediterranean bid with Saudi Arabia, Greece, and Egypt. So you're thinking, this is kind of peculiar, especially that last one. But what is happening here is everyone is trying to get the bigger piece of the pie to get the votes when it is up for grabs, right? So Saudi Arabia is leaning into Africa and Europe. And geographically, that bid makes sense if you look at a map. South America is looking at North America for some of these bids. That's why they're giving this 2024 Copa America, which is essential, right, for the United States, Mexico, and Canada. They're not qualifying for their own World Cup. They need games. This would be a great opportunity to get those games. And you'll have the world champions, Argentina. You'll have Brazil. You'll have Uruguay. You'll have Colombia, the sleeping giant of South America. Those are precious games for CONCACAF. And if you look at the world order of soccer right now, money is driving everything. We saw that. That's why we had World Cups in Qatar. And you saw how FIFA budged constantly to accommodate the Qatari bid. So if there's a Saudi bid, you have to be very worried. And while South America has the football and the pedigree, what they don't have is the money. Every South American country is struggling. There is political issues in many, and that all plays in part of here. And that is why this is a relationship that has to occur. And we're going to break it all down here on the Soccer OG. Check out the Soccer OG podcast where all podcasts are available. We have, 135 episodes there. New episode coming out this week, maybe 2. Great guests. I have been told by our production team, we are now available. We have been viewed in 102 countries, our podcast. So thank you to everyone. I can't believe it. 102 countries have listened to the Soccer OG podcast. So, please, like and subscribe us here. Like and subscribe us here. So let's look at the Copa America and what it means. We all remember, the Copa America is the oldest international competition. It goes all the way back to 1916. That's 14 years older than the first World Cup. The European Championships only started in 1960. So immediately you are getting this history by participating in that. That's nothing that CONCACAF has. They're young, right? It's always going to be new and young in CONCACAF, United States soccer, Mexican soccer to a lesser degree, but still, certainly Canadian. And then Central America and the Caribbean. So that is there's a lot to benefit from aligning with South America. Now, South America has a lot to gain aligning with CONCACAF. You get the big money of USA and Mexico, who are about to host the World Cup. This is going to be the epicenter. You want to be in there. The ceiling is so high for the United States. Whether we hit that ceiling in 5 years or 50 years, we're going to hit it. I just don't know when. But this sport is developing. At one moment, it's going to have a eureka moment, and it's going to blow up, and you're going to want to be aligned with the United States. We have better and better players being produced here. It's all pointing in the right direction. We need better competition. We need better allies. South America needs a push on the financial side. So they're moving this. They're allowing the 2024 World Cup. I think it was Ecuador pulled out. It's all well documented in the Felipe Cardenas article on The Athletic. Ecuador, no, countries don't want to host this Copa America. It's difficult. The pandemic hit South America hard. We talked about political upheaval in multiple South American countries. We talk about the financial situation, which is not getting better, except for maybe Brazil. Brazil is burgeoning more of it as an economy. No one else is. And there's no signs that that's going to change. Some instances here. So the 2021, or the 2020 Copa America was supposed to be in Colombia. They had to pull out. They threw it into Brazil. No fans. Now, that was a very important Copa America because that was Lionel Messi and Argentina winning it, which was the prelude to them winning the World Cup. So that is a big Copa America. But when you look at the Copa, you lose sight of it a bit. It used to be a huge tournament. But look, you don't even know when it's being held. It's in 2021, 2019, then 2015, and then 2016, which is the one at Centenario, and then 2011. South America has 10 members. That's not enough to host a big-time competition. And there's a big drop-off after Argentina and Brazil to get down to Bolivia and Venezuela. It's not like Europe. Europe is eating everyone's lunch. The European Championships feel like the World Cup. England, Italy in the last Euro finals felt like a World Cup final. Europe can continue to distance themselves from the rest of the world. The rest of the world has to pivot here. And the Americas have to align. If not with each other, then maybe they go with Africa or Asia. You've got to align with someone here or you're going to be left behind. And in this case, it is important because it's not like South America is doing a favor or North America is doing a favor. They need each other. They need each other. There's clout in both groups. But one group's strength isn't the other's. So the reason I say this is we'll get the 2024 World Cup, but this almost has to be a permanent fixture, or at least somewhat regularly. And again, this 2024 sticks out because the U.S., without qualifying, we'll focus on the U.S. here, needs competitive games. Everything matters if you want to have success in your own World Cup. Because you're not qualifying, you're not going to have that intensity level, but you will have it here. In a Copa America, you'll have a Gold Cup, and then you fill out the coffers here with as many games as possible. So focusing on South America, why are they doing this? Obviously, they want the 2030 World Cup, which is no guarantee. I would think it's naive if you thought FIFA would say, we're not going to have another Middle East World Cup because we just had one in 2022. They're going where the money's at. If you don't go where the money's at, unfortunately, you're going to be left behind here. So that Saudi bid is going to be tough. So South America has the history. South America has the world champion. South America has the big name players. It doesn't have the money or that clout on a world stage. USA, Mexico gives them that. If you look at that history, and we talked about it a little bit about the hosting of the Copa America, you have a situation where there has been red flags all along. Look at the Copa Libertadores last year. Flamengo and Atlético Paranaense played in the final, two Brazilian teams. The final was in Guayaquil, Ecuador. Travel within South America, if you look at a map, you figure it's not a big deal, but it is very difficult. And flights from Sao Paulo, where the Paranense fans were coming in, or Rio, where the Flamengo, were like $1,000. It's a lot of money in South America. It's a lot of money in North America. Travel is difficult. It is cumbersome. And it affects football, and it forces these countries to be very reluctant in throwing themselves into hosting it. We've seen it with Ecuador. Ecuador was in pretty good shape. I mean, they're having some economic issues. Colombia had to pull out. They had big time political and economic issues. There's a political upheaval in Peru. It's everywhere. So where do you get the host? You can't keep going. Brazil. I don't know if Argentina, Uruguay is ready for a World Cup. These are dilapidated stadiums. I always see these I mean, where would they hold it? Estadio Monumental, maybe the Boca Juniors Stadium. Have you seen these images of the Boca Stadium where the standing room areas are disheveled and things are breaking? Something bad's going to happen there. I mean, they're going to have to pump a lot of money into this World Cup, and they don't have money. I don't see how Argentina, Uruguay makes money out of this World Cup. They're going to be on the hook. They're going to have to update stadiums. As you know, North America doesn't have to do that. They can host the World Cup tomorrow with the resources they have. So South America is a bit of a mess. So when people are going, oh, we're reluctant to give it to North America, I don't buy it. You need North America. You need North America. Don't act like you don't. This is the big investment right now. It's a gift. So this competition has to become more regular. I mean, what, a 16-team tournament. Granted, you might have Haiti or Jamaica, and they may not be able to compete. But you still have USA, Mexico, and you have this Canadian team, which is coming right along with some big-name players. So the Americas need each other. I beg them. And look, there's more to it, right? They're going to have a club competition. That's huge. It's not the Copa Libertadores. I don't know if MLS and Liga MX can get into the Copa Libertadores. The travel is just too extreme. I've always said maybe make a relationship with the Brazilian League, because that's where it's at. All due respect to Boca and River. River's doing pretty well. They developed Enzo Fernandez and Julian Alvarez, and they have a great history, but they still have to sell their players early. Brazil is on much better footing. But I don't think you do Libertadores, but you can have relationships with these clubs. So CONCACAF and CONMEBOL have to get in there and say, what can we do to strengthen these relationships? It's perfect. They both need each other. No one's doing themselves a favor. It's like when MLS and Liga MX got in bed together. You said, no one's really doing each other a favor. They kind of need each other. It makes sense. We saw in the Nations League, Argentina and Brazil wanting to get into games with these European teams, which is a great idea for them. But they got to look out for the rest of their region. And this is the way to do it. I don't want every Copa America to be in the U.S. I mean, maybe that's the concern, because they know the U.S. can host it. Mexico should come up to the plate. I'm sure they'd love to. But at least you can kind of pivot that. And I don't know if the CONCACAF wants to go in the Copa America after 2026. This is a means to help the 2026 bid. Maybe it's not in their best interest to go back to the Copa after 2026. I think common sense would prevail and they would want to keep going. But I don't know. I'm just happy that this is happening. One Copa America was a flash in the pan, but now a second one, 8 years later, it's going to be good. And the U.S., remember, 2016, that was 1 year before everything went south for the United States, right? We're in a much different place. There's better interest. There's better players. We have coaches making breakthroughs. Our domestic league is doing much, much better. So this is a place where we need it, right? I want to do that. I would love to see the Copa Libertadores. I don't think it's... And I think these two federations know that, so they're trying to find alternate ways. They want to develop the women's game. Another reason South America should want to align with North America when you're talking about the two-time World Cup champions, the United States. That's another benefit. There's so many benefits along the way. And again, the Copa America is a tournament that comes around and it doesn't hit you like the Euros or the World Cup. But 2016 certainly did. 2016 was an event. I'm excited about it. I can't wait to see what it's going to look like. And of course, it is going to be a dress rehearsal for the World Cup. And all eyes will be on the United States. Think about this. We're talking about how big the 2026 World Cup is going to be. You couple that with the Copa America, where you just keep the interest going. I've said it on this program. This stretch is the biggest stretch in the history of the sport in this country. If you populate the schedule, which they're doing, it's going to end well. And this is a very important spot. And hopefully, look, I think the big part of it is you want to help South America. South America is amazing. These clubs, these personalities, the history. I mean, the history of the sport almost goes as far back as it does in parts of Europe. It's precious. And I truly believe, I keep thinking of this perspective, how it helps USA and Mexico and Canada. But how do we help our friends in South America? Those are our friends. See, we have that word America. It connects us all. So let's do it. It's a great day. It's a great thing to have. 2024 is going to happen. The dialogue you're hearing makes it sound like it's not going to happen again, but I would pursue it. This is the moment for these two confederations to say, hey, Europe, we are strengthening our bonds and we're coming after you. Soccer OG. Check out the Soccer OG podcast where all podcasts are available. Soccer OG here on YouTube under my name, Max Bretos. Like and subscribe. We'll be back again before you know it with another exciting topic because it's endless. It's endless. It just keeps firing out. One thing, something else will break tomorrow. What can I tell you?